Can we talk about that?
Yeah. Shoot, come on.
Those kids, I mean,
Our boys.
our boys. You know,
a picture of them when they were little. Hey, y'all. I see you.
I know. So Tisha and I, she has Zen, I have Ross, and very early on, Tisha noticed what she noticed. I noticed what I saw in Ross, and we found out they were going through the same thing at the same time, right? Then they went to school together, and then Tisha and I mean, it was really rough. I know it was rough on me.
I bonded with you over that, and I bonded with Royale because he was always at, the speech therapies.
Yes. Lots of talking.
I mean, I've known you guys for forever, but
right.
really like bonded because, when you're going through a diagnosis like autism,
right,
you kind of deal with it by yourself. You don't want to bother nobody. You don't want to. It's just you and your family.
Right.
And you're kind of private. So when I saw Royale at speech therapy, like, what are you doing here?
I know.
And now look at our boys.
And look at them. But the countless hours, the therapies, the play dates, your father Cliff. Oh my God.
Let's talk about my dad.
Can we talk about So you and Royale, everybody was working. I was home. Yeah. You had your wonderful father Cliff. Yeah. And me and Cliff were like, okay, everybody's this way. We're going to get in the trenches with the boys. I know you guys were there, but we had to set up our own little schedule. I talked to your father like every day.
My dad, for those who don't know, my dad is like a chess master.
Yes, he is.
And I thank God every day that my father taught me chess because, it's one of the greatest gifts he'd ever given me because it just teaches you so much more about life and how to think 2 steps ahead of every opponent or just a situation or even this situation. Like it makes you think 2 steps ahead.
Right.
So that you can maneuver. And my dad was so committed to children that he spent his entire life committed to teaching children about chess and teaching children how to play chess. And we used to have chess parties at my house. So you would see all these beautiful African-American children and they're quiet, or even at the school where they all went to school together and they, instead of playing outside, they ran to go play
chess. Remember, he had Royce playing chess in competition. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere Royce went, he had his chess set, the little roll with the pieces. And that's because of your father. Because when he was here at this house, he would teach them how to play chess. He was on the piano. We would be singing and dancing and, just trying to give them up whatever we could while we were home. You know what I mean?
I think that my dad gave to me and taught me was to engage with kids, engage with children. My dad was brilliant. My dad ran a group home. Like, we lived in a group home. I lived in a group home with just me and 14 other boys and my 3 brothers.
Wow.
And people don't know that a lot of that about me, but since I was like 7, I lived in a group home. And my dad was the group home parent. And, these are people that were written off and, sometimes the social workers would come in and pop in and check in and do pop-ups, and they would hear a completely quiet house. Then they walk into where where we all congregated, and he just see all these kids playing chess. Like, that's how my dad started out. And so, like, he's really my heroes, and he taught me about engaging with, especially the children who have autism or some type of special need. Like, engaging is one of the greatest gifts that you can give. And I know parents are tired and it's a lot of work. And
Tisha,
you pay attention to what the therapists are doing or somebody else who has your kid, like that thing that pulls them into our world. Pay attention to that, and you engage. Engage was a great gift he gave me with children.
Back then, it was, I don't want to say so new, but The cases.
We didn't have a lot of gluten-free stuff and all that stuff.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And there were days I would come out of some of those therapies or speech, whatever, and I would just sit in the car with Ross and put the music on. Cry is not the word. Ball. Okay? And when we, finally got together with you guys, we would take them up to Lake Arrowhead. Like, you guys were so open for us. Like, you just invited us to your house. We would go on the lake. We would do whatever we could. You know what I mean? With what we had. Because we didn't really know what we were. I know I didn't know what I was doing.
Like, even when I was working, I would have I would have therapy sessions at my job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I kidnapped my dad, right?
Yes, I know that. And I loved every minute because I got to have him too.
2 weeks. And I was so sad he was leaving because he was so good at engaging with my kid. Like, I was like in it, but there's something about Grandpa that was just completely different.
Yeah.
It was time for him to go. He was packed up, ready to go to the airport. I was like, yeah, you ain't going nowhere. Right? Like, yeah, you gonna be here for a couple of years. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah, we need you. But, Zim, to get he was typing out a scholarship the other day.
Look at God.
And he mentioned my dad in the scholarship. And so I read the scholarship essay. And I read that essay to my father, and his eyes just teared up. I think, everybody wants to know that they made a difference in somebody's life.
Absolutely.
And so I saw that in my dad, like, I did something good while I was here.
Yeah.
And then talked about him. It was just beautiful. You know what I mean?
First of all, for you to have that gift to even kidnap him. You know what I mean? And for him to go along with it, because I came out to Cali with no relatives at all. So I didn't have that. So it was, so you became like an extended family. I kidnapped your dad on many occasions. I'm like, Cliff was on speed dial, okay? Meet me at Fofo Figley's. That's all they remember. Me and Cliff sitting up in Fofo Figley's like, I don't want another chicken nugget. I don't want another French fry. I don't want no pizza. But they were happy. And I remember you tried to kidnap Royce. You was like, yeah, I think we need to take Royce.
Let me tell you something. I was so proud of the way that you guys handled yourself with the diagnosis, and then just y'all dug in there, and it's not easy, but you bonded even more through that experience. Like, you and Royale was like frickin' frack, and I know it wasn't easy, because most of the time people get the diagnosis, a lot of divorces happen right after that.
Wow.
No, seriously.
I can imagine.
You guys just coupled up, and you guys just, power coupled up, rather, so I admired it.
Yeah, Royale is a different breed.
Yeah, he is.
He is. He's a good guy. And again, we didn't know what we were in for, but it took a lot out of us. And we had Miss Stephanie, who I think is on here, Miss Stenofi. Yeah, I think she's on. I called her and told her. She was like, I'll be on. I saw Stephanie. I think that's her. But this young lady, and if people don't have kids that were on the spectrum, they may not understand. They have to get this diagnosis, and then you have to figure out what therapies or what type of classes they need. Yeah. And we had this young lady come to visit us, Stephanie, and she's very young. And I looked at Royale because they had sent us so many incompetent people. You know what I mean? Just trying to get a check. And if you're treating someone with this diagnosis, it has to be in you. You have to want to make a difference.
Because my sister is a behavioral therapist. I have a little sister.
Oh, really?
Yes. Her name is Nikki, and she's a therapist. And she's
God bless her.
Incredible. People are like, chewing at the bits to get to her because she's so good at what she does.
And how were we with Stephanie? I know! Stephanie came trotting in here all of 18, 19. I was like, who this little teeny bopper? It's not going to work out. It's just not going to work out.
Special about
that young lady, when you're anointed and this is your thing, she came in here and changed this house 360. Do you hear me?
And mine too.
I know. I was like, when it's so good, and that's the thing about helping, like, I'm like, Tisha, I know she's young, but on her days that she's not here, you guys should really look into her, and you did.
That was one of the best gifts you gave me, because there are moments where I could see humongous milestones in my son, and when she came along, and she did not play those games, like, not spoil an autistic child. You cannot beat that either.
Right.
Like, it just doesn't make any sense for them, because it makes them go the opposite direction.
Right.
You thank them. You can't do that. You have, but you can't spoil them. You have to treat them like
everybody else,
because they do.
Right.
Well, I did, not all of them, but mine.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
And Ross. Yeah.
Let me say not they, but Zen. Oh, he was smart. I knew
he's smart as a whip. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she came in and we took her everywhere. I would call her crying some days, like he's at school cutting up. He was at UCLA Seeds class, in one of their programs. And I'd be like, Stephanie, I don't know where you are, but I'm going to lose it. She would just show up. And when he would see her, oh, Miss Stenofi, you remember he couldn't say her name, Miss Stenofi is here. And she'd be like, Ross, what are you doing? Nothing. I'd be like, nothing.
God, she was cute, because I think both our boys had a crush on her. And they did.
Of course, yes. Ross is still upset she married, but he's like, that is my lady. I was like, I know. But she really came in. So I say all of that to say, you have to fight for your children. You really have to fight for your children, because if you don't, they will give you anyone. And I went through different services, different therapists. It wasn't easy. It was a lot of money. Woo.
A lot of times they just want to take the money, right?
Right.
And they give you bad services or bad advice. I remember sitting across from 3 therapists, two behavioral and a speech. And they sat across from me and was like, your son needs to be on medication.
Ugh.
And I was like, no, he doesn't. I'm not putting my son on medication. And they did one of these.
That's awful.
Like, making me feel like a bad mom. Now, I'm not saying that some people don't need to be on medication. I'm not judging anybody and their journey. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that I'm against what they do for their kids. I just knew my son wasn't supposed to be on
person. Right.
But I was made to feel like a bad mom. And even though I kept my strength, which is what I'm about to lead to, I kept my strength in front of them. I got in that car and bawled like a baby. Oh. And I had never, and what I wanted to get to was, I had never seen you. And I know I just heard you say that, Stephanie, you would cry to Stephanie. I've never seen you not have your face on.
You're going to make me cry now.
No, I've never seen you.
It was tough.
It was tough. And you think that you don't want to say that you're weak or anything. There are moments where you're just like, this is a lot. But you were always a beast with it. I was like, well, if she could do it, I'm my head up and I'm going to do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Because I think Royale, when I came home, we went together, therapists, we had to wait 9 months to get evaluated. And then it was like $2,000, $25,000. It was a lot of money for the evaluation. And I had to wait 9 months when I had been telling the doctor, something's wrong. He's not talking, blah, blah, blah. We get there, we come out and we're dumbfounded. When I say a ton of bricks, I didn't know what to do. And Royale looked at me, he said, well, I'm going to tell you one goddamn thing. He going to be out on his own. He going to have a job. He not living with us. And when I saw Royale, when he said that, I said, yes.
Yes.
Because no matter what, we're going to get him to the point where he's going to be self-sufficient. He may not be blah, blah, blah. He ain't going to live here.
That's right. My goal was to make my son independent of me as possible.
Correct.